Hello and welcome to Open Your Mind Radio. You have myself, Alan James.
Myself, Stephen George. Good evening.
Good evening. It's Sunday, the 1st of November 2015. And we have two guests on our show tonight. We have our first guest is going to be Master Choy. We're going to be bringing in Master Choy in a few minutes. We're going to be talking about Tai Chi, energy, and the energy changes that are taking place on the planet at the moment, because Master Choy is actually aware of them. And our second guest at about 8 o'clock will be Sage Guia. Now, she has a retreat in the Dominican Republic, and she's gone through an awful lot of health issues when she was younger, and she basically just went through them all. She learned about eating healthy and having a positive mindset and all that kind of stuff to get through all these illnesses that she had. So she's going to be very interesting to talk to, and we'll get a list. I mean, she literally has a list of conditions that she had when she was younger, and it's just unbelievable that she's actually got through them all, and she's now like in her, I think it's early 60s, and she doesn't even look that age. So it's fantastic. What if you have a positive mental attitude and positive mind, and you eat the right food, how it can benefit you. And I think we all know that. We talked about that on the show. But before we go down that road, we have a few other things to talk about as well, obviously. But before we do that, let's find out what the communication channels are.
Okay, communication channels this evening are...
The communication channels are email info@oymireland.com, by phone 046 927 1212, and you can also contact us direct through the OYM chat room.
046 927 1212 is the phone number for the studio this evening. We also have the chat room going as well. Both chat rooms we're going to be monitoring are oymradio.com. The link is on the left hand side of the site there. You can log in. There's several people already in the chat room, so a big hi to all of you. We're also going to be monitoring for questions the People's Internet Radio chat room as well, so a big hi to everyone in there also. Facebook, the anti-social media, we're also on there. Link can be found on the website. You can link to us there. You can check out, see what we're doing, what we're about, and you can post us some links there as well. You can also email us, as Mary said, info@oymradio.com if you have any information that you want to get to us. We also have the YouTube channel. We have the OYM... I keep saying the OYM app. It's not. It's a TuneIn Radio Link app. I'll eventually get that one right. The TuneIn Radio Link application for your iPhone, your iPad, and your smart devices. You can download that from the relevant stores, and you can check us out on that as well. OYM Radio. Just stick it into the search bar on the TuneIn Radio Link app, and you will be there with us. Alan.
Brilliant. Just very quickly on the Facebook side of things.
Yes.
Have you been finding Facebook being really slow and sluggish? And
I'll be honest with you, I don't spend that much time on it, but I did check it out there today, and yes, the page seems to take an age to load, and there's this a plug-in crash that keeps happening. And several times when I have logged into Facebook, it doesn't happen on any other websites, just Facebook. This plug-in error comes up and it crashes.
That's right.
Yeah, and it is dog slow.
Yeah, my browser, I use Firefox, and the browser is always crashing. And it's only when I'm in Facebook. It just seems to be Facebook. So wherever Facebook have done or reprogrammed the site or whatever, it's just not working. So, I was just wondering, I thought it was just me, but I think a few people are experiencing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're going to tell us about the first thing that's on the list?
Yes, the first thing on the list, this is a post posted up on the Limerick for Legislation of Cannabis Facebook page. They shared a story from OMA, Medicinal Cannabis Support Groups, about a young lady called Anne-Marie. And Anne-Marie says, I'm from County Galway. I have taken myself off chemo 7 months ago and started the oil. Obviously by the oil she's referring to cannabis oil. In her own words, the young mother told them, I decided to stop my chemotherapy 7 months ago. Chemo destroys any chance of survival if you have a higher grade type cancer. I'm here because I said no more chemo, which shocked people, but I believe I would not be here if I didn't. My message is, friends, there are other options and therapies. Anyone, even loved ones, should know there are more options. Chemo does work sometimes, but it is a poison. Had I known this years ago about the other alternative treatments, I would not have been sick again. I've met people also who have decided alternative treatments, and like me, they're getting well. more awareness for alternative treatment. And she says, eat healthy is my key. So obviously Anne-Marie went on to the cannabis oil, which we have spoken. We've done some shows on that and the benefits. And obviously she's reaping the rewards of the oil as well. So fair play.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's good to see that it is people are beginning to realise that the chemo is there. I mean, we've heard this time and time again. We had Dr. Rima on the show, and we all know that the chemo there is just money-making scam from the pharmaceutical companies, and there's a kickback to the doctors. And the fact is that they've reduced it from a 5-year clearance to a 4-year, because they say after the 4 years, there's a good chance that the cancer is going to come back. So, you know, and 75% of doctors don't recommend chemo to their own family. So it's just something to bear in mind if anybody ever suffers from cancer or you get diagnosed or whatever, that, you know, look at the alternative side first before you go down that route. Now, the other thing that we have on the list is, I'd like to say a big thank you to Stephanie Ralph. Now, Stephanie, a couple of weeks ago, Stephanie was on the show a few weeks ago, and we were talking about kinesiology. And Stephanie said, we'll send you over, a few DVDs. And this big box came in the post with 12 DVDs. So something that, again, we have to get and have a look at. And then during the week, another kind of padded envelope came in. Not one that Enda Kenny would get, may I say. It
wasn't a brown one, no.
It wasn't a brown one. Something completely different. But she sent over a book that she wrote, and it's entitled, You're Not Fat, You're Toxic. For a minute there, when I looked at the book, I thought I was going to say, you're not fat, you're ugly.
So you thought you'd have to write a book about it?
Yeah. You're not fat, you're ugly. So with the 12 DVDs she sent off to us, the kinesiology and the book, you know, that's going to keep us busy. But we're going to plan to get Stephanie back on, because I think the kinesiology is definitely important, something that we should all learn to be able to, you should be able to do, is basically, and to talk about it very quickly, is that the whole idea of kinesiology is, if you want to check if something's good for you, like food and stuff like that, you basically pick it up, you put it against your chest, and if you get an uneasy feeling with it, then it's not good for you. And this is what a lot of people are doing. Even Tony Hughes, who's been on the show, he uses that. And when we went on the training with the Pain Genie, there's a couple of people on the actual course using kinesiology and picking things up. So, you know, we look forward to looking at the DVDs and obviously, learning about it and developing it. It's not something that you're going to learn, very quickly. So it's something that you have to pick up on and develop over time. But, we look forward to that. But how's your week, Steve?
Yeah, my week's been fine. Just on the kinesiology, yeah, I mean, I basically, in all honesty, when I heard about kinesiology first, I thought it was kind of a joke. I never realised it was an actual kind of a science until it was explained to us. As Alan mentioned, on the training course, we did meet a chap there by the name of Bernard. And Bernard, I had a phone conversation with him one evening, and he kind of told me lots about kinesiology. And it is a science, it's an art form, and obviously, like what we're going to get into later on with Master Choy, really the Tai Chi, I mean, it's something that can be learned over time, probably over a lifetime, and it's going to be very beneficial, because even with the kinesiology, I actually tried it as well. I didn't think it would work, but it did. I mean, even when we spoke with Richard Cumbers of the Pain Genie, excuse me, Richard told us of some ingredients. Well, not ingredients, it's kind of it's in your clothes. It will be in a lot of women's clothing.
That's elastane.
Elastane, yeah.
Elastane.
And he says women are wearing this, and they're wearing it close to the like your kinesiology is kind of up near your throat chakra. Obviously, you can't see where I'm pointing. Am I pointing in the right place? Yeah. It's just kind of, it's right there. If you had a camera, if we had a camera, you'd see it. But a lot of women, and they wear bras, and the bras have elastane in them, and it makes a lot of women very sick, and they don't even realise it. And we actually done, when I'm going to say we, wasn't Alan and I, we done an experiment at home. We actually checked the ingredients, the makeup of one of my wife's undergarments. I shouldn't be saying this, but I've started, so I'll finish. And we found out that there was elastane in it. And for a long time, she always had an itchiness or a scratching of her back. She was always kind of scratching her back and rubbing up against doorways and, weird kind of things. And she used to always ask me, is there something there in my back? Would you have a look? And there never was. I said, no, there's nothing. But whenever she took off this particular undergarment, she noticed that the itchiness and the soreness, it went away. But again, this continued for years, and it was only after we discussed this with Richard, we found out that there was elastane in it, and I think that's what she has it's been kind of boiled down to that now. However, the only alternative is another material which doesn't contain the elastine, and you can get these undergarments, the ladies' undergarments, from some company in America. However, they are quite expensive. So again, like it's one of these situations whereby if it's bad for you, you can buy them for 10 a penny. If it's good for you, or if it's the opposite of not bad, then they're just so bloody expensive. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, what else is happening during the week? I've been looking at some Facebook stuff, and again, I was looking at some flat earth stuff as well. There's a couple of Facebook pages that I kind of subscribe to. Again, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I believe it, but it's good for kind of engaging people, or waking people up, or making them think you're a nut job. I've actually been kicking it around in my workplace. I just mentioned to a few people during the week, and when they stopped laughing and I'm sitting there with a serious face, they wanted to know, hang on, do you actually believe this? And I said, no, I don't actually believe anything. But I just kind of thrown it out there, and some people actually thought it was. There's actually one guy in the job. When I said it to him, he says, do you know what? That sounds plausible. And I'm sitting there going, really? Wow, you're so close. You're close-minded to everything else. But he was open-minded to that. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. What else? Andy Kenny. I did post a link there earlier on today. There's seemingly more corruption going on within the party. I still cannot believe that this government they're going to go to their 5 years. It looks like it's going to go right up to the wire. I can't believe an election hasn't been called, an emergency election hasn't been called as of yet, because more people under Enda Kenny's party are, how would you say, rotten to the core. And the article there it was a file sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions on allegations of fraud and bribery against a Fine Gael councillor, where he was looking to get some little, I think it was a piece of land he wanted to get developed, and he wanted someone else to do the dirty work for him, and so his name wouldn't be put on the documents. And I believe there was probably brown envelopes changing hands as well. But it was actually copied or recorded, and a copy of the recording was sent to the Independent, from what I've heard anyway, and they've actually ran with the story. So what's going to happen? Probably nothing, because they just seem to get away with stuff. And the only other thing that I want to mention is I want to say big hi and congratulations to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, many people probably know, he's involved in a lot of different things. He's actually involved with the Girl Against Fluoride, Aisling Fitzgibbon. He does a lot of great work on her campaign, but he also has his own little kind of sideline things going on as well, where he's actually trying to help people. But he was actually arrested, and he had his property seized, his phone. But unfortunately, before they seized his property, he was able to obviously make a copy of the video, which was used as evidence, because he was arrested under false pretenses, saying that he was obstructing vehicles on the road. But he actually had the video on his phone of the guard just kind of harassing him, so that was actually used in court. The case was struck out. Unfortunately, as he said himself, he didn't get any, he wasn't awarded any costs, so therefore he's at a loss, because he lives kind of down the country and he had to keep travelling up to Dublin for the court case. But he done well in the end, and that link is also up on the chat room there. I posted up earlier. If you want to have a look at that, his video in his own words is quite well done, and he's very, very, very easy to listen to, and a generally nice guy. So there, kudos to Steve Kerr. Anyway, that's pretty much all I can muster up this evening. So sorry about that. How was your week?
No, that's okay. Yeah, well done, Steve. Yeah, now everybody's aware that the Iranian scientist Kesh has released his Magrav plasma generator, and he's releasing the plans. I'm sure you've all seen it on YouTube. The videos are going around for the whole week. Last week he was doing tutorials and talking about the science of it all, and basically the plans will be given out free. If you can't build them yourself, if you don't have the tech, you can actually buy them for €499, €499. Now the problem is, it's a bit of a shame. He did say that the copper cables in houses, your copper cables have to be nano-coated for the plasma to work, and most houses, as you know, the copper cables used for your electricity are not nano-coated. But look, it's a start. Maybe what you have to do is get the Magrav device and and start adding products on it bit by bit. You know, there's no reason why you can't plug in your fridge or plug in a few things. But it was very interesting that he's given these out. Now, all the diplomats were there in the audience. He was giving them all away for free to the diplomats. And there's a few other things that he's given away as well, the plans. Also, Tesla Motors apparently have removed their patents, and they're going to be giving away that technology for free as well. So that's all good news. As far as I'm concerned, that's good news, that it's definitely going in the right direction. So, but if you haven't seen it, just type in Keshe, Keshe, and you'll see it on YouTube, and have a look at the video. He also talks about a second son in one of the presentations as well for some reason. So, something to think about there. Anyway, the other thing that's on the list is in the Independent.ie newspaper. It said, there's a headline there saying, Fine Gael election promise to ban fluoride in drinking water. Now, we've heard this before, but, you know, if you really think about that, the Fine Gael said, if we get into power, we will ban fluoride in the water. Now, they obviously know that fluoride is bad for you, but they're putting their own personal interests of an election to stay in power over the health of the nation. This is why I'm saying these people are sociopaths. Well, psychopaths, because they could be killing people as well. And they don't care about you. They never will care about you, and they never have cared about you. This is a typical example. They're putting their own selfish interests ahead of the health of the nation. Now, you would think they would turn around and go, look, even if we don't get in, we're going to ban fluoride because we know it's a neurotoxin and we know it's dangerous. But they're not doing that. They're, you know, dangling the carrot saying, we'll take it out if you elect us in. That's how sick these people are. They really don't care about you. So, you know, people need to wake up to this. And I'm sure, you know, all the listeners that listen to this show anyway know about it. And they're aware of this. But these people who are voting for this, the parties, the Fianna Fáil and the Fine Gael parties, I mean, all you have to do is read that heading out to them and go, do you not see what they're saying? They're putting their own selfish interests ahead of the health of the nation. It's just, you know, I find that sickening. It really is sickening. So very quickly, just a couple of more things. We've run out of t-shirts. I think we've 2 t-shirts left. So that's out. They're very popular and they're going out, which is brilliant. So we're going to be ordering more during the week, get more t-shirts in, and we'll have medium, large, extra large. So during the week, we'll hopefully get them in or get them done by the end of the week, and we'll have them in for if anybody is looking for t-shirts. And last thing on the list, before we get Master Choy in, last thing on the list is we have a plethora of so many guests at the moment. We could book up the radio show easily till January, February at the moment with the amount of guests that we can have on the show, which is fantastic. So that's good news. So we're going to have a massive selection because we'll be covering all areas. And tonight is one area that we want to cover with Master Choy. We're going to bring Master Choy in now. And I was kind of corrected. We had a quick chat with Master Choy before we went live on air, and we have a kind of a Western understanding. A lot of people have a Western understanding of Tai Chi, and it's all about manipulating energy and you know, doing slow movements and all that. And that's kind of the Western side. But apparently there's a hell of a lot more to Tai Chi, which we're going to find out about. But also, Master Choy knows about December 2012. He knows about the energy changes taking place on the planet and what's going on as well. And you know, so we really want to talk to him about that and find out about these energy changes and how it's affecting us as individuals on the planet. So before we do that, we'll bring him in and we'll get a little bio all about Master Choy. Good evening, Master Choy. How are you?
Yeah. Hi. I'm fine. I'm already here.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, before we get in and start talking about Tai Chi and the energies on the planet, just give us a quick bio of your background and yourself and what you do.
Well, the thing is that I really didn't have a choice about being a Tai Chi teacher, in the sense that when I was young, I was very, very connected to this thing called Qi. At a very young age, I don't know, maybe it's connected to the fact that my father was a martial arts master, and so all children are supposed to train in martial arts because your father said so. And then my father sent me to one of the greatest Tai Chi masters, Grandmaster Huang, who actually happened to be only about 15 minutes from where my father lived. And then from there, I was introduced to other Grandmasters in China and traveled to India, to America. And I discovered there were 7 different energies which are connected to these 7 Grandmasters, connecting to the colors of the rainbow. Violet is healing, indigo is the Tao leadership, and blue connects to the peaceful, what we call the Trilog Taoist process. And then green connects to nature, that we do organic gardening, we have lots of projects happening, very down to earth, and even involving Prince Charles, who was excited about one of the projects we are doing here. And then in yellow energy, we connect to the actual physical practice of the Tai Chi, Qigong, the Taoist sciences, and we also have Tao of comedy. Yeah.
Okay.
In orange.
Okay.
And red connects to the Tao of love and sex. So we can spend the next 7 hours covering all this.
Right. Well, we don't, I'd love to have 7 hours, but we don't have that. So tell us.
No, we don't.
so tell us about, we talked before the show, and you said that, obviously, there is a Western view of Tai Chi because we see what we see on TV. But you said it's a lot deeper than that, and there's a lot more to it. Tell us a bit more about what we're missing. Yeah.
For example, the roots of Tai Chi actually came from Chen village in China. It didn't come from Europe. It didn't come from America. I know there's a lot of wonderful Tai Chi schools, etc., doing a lot of great work, but I was interested to find the source. So I went to Chen village, and I found Grandmaster Chen there, and he showed me the origins of Tai Chi connect to the Tai Chi of the iron ball. Okay? Nothing to do with animal movements, which is what a lot of people are practicing and seeing. The origins of Tai Chi came from the ball. And guess what? That connects to the November 2012, December 2012. See, because everything has a circular motion. Even now, as we are speaking, if you want to, we can even practice Tai Chi on the telephone. I'm so excited to go into any area with anyone, and you will see the ball-like energy is able to connect us all. But we need a center of reference. That's where the Tai Chi of the ball differs from other practice of Tai Chi, because we are interested in circulating that ball of energy throughout the whole body, and you can heal with it, you can connect to leadership, you can connect to peace and healing, and you can connect to nature, you can connect to the yellow of energy of wisdom, and orange to comedy, and red to having a much healthier, loving, and sexual life.
Okay, so this ball of energy, for somebody, obviously we're on the radio tonight, and we won't be able to do a Tai Chi session, but can you tell us, is this something that we visualize in our own mind, and we manipulate it through our visualization to do what we want it to do? Is this what you're talking about, this ball of energy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you see how a baby is born and how a baby sleeps, okay, the baby naturally curls itself into a lovely ball-like position.
Yeah.
You see? And inside the womb of a mother, that's what's happening. So, all the great Tai Chi Grandmasters have said, look at the way a baby grows to be a child. Watch the baby when he first learned the first step. And once we had a mother brought her baby, who was no longer a baby, nearly a year old, and the child actually started to take her first steps in the class. And we were just amazed. We stopped the class and we watched this child, just making that first step, about to fall over, and yet it didn't.
Yeah.
And just taking that first step, and we were just in a state of amazement that nature has a way to teach us that whatever happens, we are going to find back our center of balance.
Well, I've come across meditation where it says if you want to heal yourself, what you do is you have a ball of energy in front of you. You visualize a ball of energy in front of you, and you focus on any negative energy that's inside you. You release that. So as you breathe out, you breathe out that negative energy, and that goes into the ball to be turned into positive energy. And when you breathe in, you breathe in the positive energy, and you breathe out the negative energy. Is that something similar?
Okay. We work with 7 colored balls of energy. Okay, like for example, blue ball energy is used for healing.
So this be like chakras? Would it be
No, not chakras. Tai Chi people do not work with chakras. It's the yoga people.
Okay.
So we work with acupuncture, meridian flow of energy. Now, if you come back to this question about the ball of energy, if you realize that the ball of energy is not something that you need to imagine, although initially you may feel that that's helpful for you, but I give you an extreme example. There's so many ghost documentaries who have filmed ghosts in haunted houses.
Yeah.
And people ask, why do they keep on filming little balls of energy flying around?
Yeah.
Okay? Because when you and I die physically, we are going to be just a tiny little ball of energy.
Which we call that an orb, and
whatever you use, okay? But the Tai Chi people have been investigating this for 8,000 years.
Yeah.
Alan.
Okay.
8,000 years. What did they find out? Do you see that? So this is what I was very interested in, and when I found all this, I created the first rainbow Tai Chi Qigong school here in Devon, Ashburton. Okay, and some people, when they hear the word rainbow, they think, is it only for gay people?
Okay.
So they don't understand that it connects to the 7 different energies that the Tai Chi is expressing through, having one central focus. If you want to, we can go into this November 2012 alignment.
Yeah,
that connects to it.
Yeah, we need to. I'd like to talk about that because everybody's feeling December 2012 was a big energy shift. What we've been told, and people have experienced certain things, and I know you are aware of this. So tell us what you know about that energy shift. Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me just point out something that you wrote in your website, which is quite inspiring to me, and then I can connect that. Okay.
Okay.
In your website, it says you can look at an area in decline, like a body with a weakened immune system. You know that bit? The protection holding that body together, family, friends, neighbors, community are falling apart. It's losing its connections. The body needs to be fit and healthy to function and grow. And what we need to do is to strengthen the area's immune system by drawing people together, developing mutual friendships and support, a time bank.
Yes, time bank, yes.
Now we are communicating,
yes,
okay?
Yes, time banking,
Okay, so there's a link here, all right?
Okay.
We call the Tantian as a Qi Building Society bank.
Okay.
Okay? Without Qi energy, you cannot have a healthy body.
Okay.
That's the bottom line of it, all right?
Yeah.
Whether you call it prana or chi or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. We've heard about chi energy because orgonite, which is a stone, and a way of helping your health by Wilhelm Reich years ago, the scientist. He talked about this chi energy. Yes.
Okay. So we connect back to this December 2012. The alignment of the Tantian center, the center of humanity, the center of the earth, the center of the sun, and the equator, the center of the Milky Galaxy. Okay? What is it like to practice Tai Chi with that alignment taking place? And I can tell you because we have had thousands of people practicing. I don't know whether you heard of the World Tai Chi Qigong Day.
No, I haven't heard that.
Well, there are more than 65 nations, hundreds of thousands of people have been practicing every single day. especially on a specific day, and that connects to the alignment of the Tantian of the earth, sun, and human chi. Now, why is that so important? Is because you and I were born from the umbilical cord, from the Tantian center.
Okay.
Yeah? We didn't get born with the umbilical cord center stuck on our head, did we?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So, if we perceive what has happened from our mind, we will have a totally different perception than if we perceive it from the Tantian center.
So this chi energy, we've heard a lot about certain masters who can use this chi energy to do all different types of things.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen samples, like, you know, you get the there's this chap over there that can actually start fire with the chi energy. He heals people. And you got the who are the not the samurai chaps, who's the chaps that can stand on the swords and use the chi energy?
The Shaolin monks.
Shaolin monks, yeah. They
exactly.
So this energy is like very strong.
Yeah, sure. You can apply it in so many supernatural ways. But the more exciting thing for me, ever since I was young, was to connect to what is my purpose, what is my mission in this life.
Okay.
And I discovered that my purpose is to start the Rainbow Tai Chi Qigong School and to prepare humanity for this connection to what we call the galactic Tai Chi.
Right, okay. And what are you seeing with people regarding their, developments with the energy? Well, what are the symptoms that you're seeing, or what's happening from your point of view?
Yeah, okay, I'll go into that. Number one is, when you perceive the energy from your mind and try to manipulate the energy, you are creating a relationship with that energy by your actions, by your behavior. All right?
Okay.
Now, my grandmasters have taught me how to respect the chi. Do not manipulate the chi. Right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? Because you create a whole different kind of energy, which is going to help you to find that blissful center, which is what the word Tantian means in Chinese. It means the sea of blissful energy in your Tantian, in your Hara center, in your belly center. Now, for 40 years, I have been sharing this in my books. The first book is 15 Ways to Happier You. 37 Steps to Happiness is the second book on the Tai Chi form. First book is on the 15 Fundamental Tai Chi Qigong. And I have had 200,000 people who have trained with me over these 40 years. I've been in workshops, I've been giving demonstrations, and I train teachers, and I see people effortlessly connect to this energy for health, for happiness.
Okay.
That is what I believe that this change is happening. I call it the happilization of humanity taking place.
Okay.
If you see from the Tantian. But if you perceive the changes from the mind, then you see duality.
Okay, so, everything that we do has to be perceived in the mind first anyway.
No, I don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
That's why I say that when you see a baby standing, walking, the baby is connected to the center. That's what helping the baby to walk. This is the contribution that Tai Chi has for the world, to teach and help the immune system of the world to find back that timeless chi-building society inside the center. We used to joke about how you should advertise full page in the newspapers that says, invest in chi-building society account. At the bottom, ring your Tantian center.
Okay, well that makes sense.
That's where you're going to get that's where you're going to get. You're not going to get it in your mind.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously people have to go off and learn about this and develop it like anything. Go to someone like yourself or the people that you train to learn how to focus this energy, because I do believe that we are beginning to wake up and understand this a lot more and understand how important energy is. Yeah.
Let me give you an example. I had a recent student who went back to his father who had cancer, and terminal cancer. And he taught his father the exercises. His father came and studied with me too. I went to give workshop in his place in Holland, and he has healed his cancer. You know, to the astonishment of the doctors, okay? But we did not do it mind over matter. It was from we'll call it the heartbeat listening to connect to the heart, which is the governor of all the meridian lines on the inside the body.
Okay.
Okay? And then you connect the heart, the governor, just like in UK here, the government, the Prime Minister has to go and bow before the Queen, right?
Okay.
Corbyn has a problem. He doesn't want to. So he's got a problem. But anyway, every Prime Minister has to go and bow humbly to the royal family. Now, the heart of the body has to bow humbly to the Tantian Center where the royal family is. If you look at Chinese medicine, they always talk about this royal palace. Okay? It's in the Tantian. It's in your belly. It's not in your head.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the system. We call it the heart, body, and then mind, spirit, education system.
Okay.
So this is what I taught. Of course, we teach them exercises. Of course, we share with them the urgency of heartbeat listening.
Okay.
Yeah, that's important.
So
you cannot connect to the chi energy if you don't know how to listen to your heartbeat.
I think, definitely. I think that's important. Now, before we go over to the questions, tell us about the energy and how it's affecting people. This change of energy. What's happening? What do you see happening?
Okay. Well, the acceleration of the energy is breaking down barriers in all levels. All right, throughout the whole planet. You can see the swamping of refugees and the wars and everything is breaking down.
Okay.
Now, the acceleration of that breaking through is coming from breakdown first. We say that there's 3 stages. 1, breakdown, 2nd, breakthrough, and 3rd, breakdowns.
Okay, very good. I like that.
So, which of this part of the process, right, is the people going through, because it is quite horrific what is happening in the wars that everybody is aware of, but the question is more, what is the perception of the solution? What is the perception, like Putin has a big, giant inner child who's got very big ego problems, right?
Yeah.
And one of my students was just saying that he should wear Pampers.
Right. I did. Well, I remember we met.
You see, what I'm trying to say is that you don't see that there are so many other viewpoints. Sometimes it escapes us.
Yeah.
And politically, we are so serious. You know, we are so serious, and that is why comedians are so important. The coming of comedians has brought the breakdown, breakthrough, and this humor that's sweeping across. Did you know 10 years ago, compared to today, there's like 300% increase of comedians?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Yeah, that's so serious, Alan. You don't realize that. I believe that the acceleration of energy in the planet is getting us to try to transform and transmute this negative energy, right?
Yeah.
I call it the quantum leap.
Okay.
People call it the quantum leap.
Okay, well, definitely the energy has to be raised. We are aware of that from various guests, and this is the whole idea of the energy hitting the planet at the moment. Well, I'll tell you, we have Master Choy. We have a few questions, so I'm going to I'm going to pass you over to Steve, and Steve's going to go through the questions with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, with the first question up we have is from John. John is wondering, Master Choy, do you know the exact frequency of chi? He said, as in like a megahertz, as in related to a musical note, for example.
Yeah, but there are different kinds of chi.
Right.
When people say, do you know the exact frequency of chi? They are trying to say that there's only one kind of chi.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, because in the West you look at things in black and white, but in where I was being trained, we look at chi not with the scientific aspect, which is measuring. I know there's even chi machines now that are being created, and I'm sorry, that's not where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I know. I think, you are correct.
I'm saying that when you see, have you seen 5,000 people, right, in wheelchairs, in stretchers, in all kinds of contraptions, descending on one single place? This is where I was trained, all right? And do you think about what is the hertz of chi? No, you think about this person who is on a wheelchair. This person is going to die of cancer, and you are tuning in to how this person can get to the chi energy for healing himself. Okay?
Yeah.
That's where we are coming from. We are not coming from the Western way of looking at chi.
Yeah, well, I think that question may have been kind of inspired because we did talk a couple of weeks ago about the Raymond Rife, and Raymond Rife, he was able to identify different diseases, and he found that different diseases had different frequencies, and you know, if you could resonate a frequency on the same frequency of a disease, then the disease would just break up. But I think, I mean, I don't know.
Wait, can I just share with you one example that I saw personally in my training center there, okay? Because somebody had a lump of cancer there, all right? And within a few minutes, just putting the hand on top, because there were TV scanners that was actually seeing the physical tumor, okay?
Yeah.
Now, we don't need to think about what is the frequency, because the body already has that intelligence, I'm saying. So the chi healer hand is about 2 feet away from the person's body. Within less than 1 minute, you can actually physically see on the TV screen the tumor that was about 1 inch shrinking down to nothing.
I saw that video. I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, but what you saw was actually from Xining Qigong Center, where I was trained at. Now, there's a lot of people going around on the YouTube saying that they are healers because they have seen this film. But they are not trained by Xining Qigong Center.
Okay.
I wish to clarify that, because that is very important where you got the video from.
Yeah,
in Xining Qigong Center in Hebei province, I was physically there when that happened.
Yeah. That was amazing to see that.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that rather than trust machines, we need to trust your gut center.
Yeah.
First.
No,
that is the difference between, we're talking about different tools of perception.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have more questions to get through there, so Steve, over to you, Steve.
Yeah, you mentioned the word galactic earlier.
Yeah.
What exactly does galactic mean?
Well, first of all, have you heard of the Antakarana bridge that is prophesied by the Tibetans?
No.
Well, in the ancient Tibetan texts, as well as the Aborigines in Australia, they have predicted the coming of the rainbow serpent. Never heard of it?
I've never heard the rainbow serpent, no.
Okay, yeah, it's on the walls of the cave, okay? And the Antakarana bridge that is also prophesied by the Tibetans is called the Rainbow Bridge. And this has significance because if we try to understand what is this change that's taking place, I'm saying that we have to expand our consciousness to consider that there's more than black and white way of understanding the world. There's a violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red way of perceiving and understanding what is it that we need to create for the future, for the well-being, for the education of future generations. For example, let me give a concrete example, all right? Children are taught so many wonderful, important topics, except healing in school. Why?
That's right, yeah.
Why? Why are they not taught about healing? Do you think that children don't know about healing?
Well, I can add to that. Why aren't the doctors taught about healing?
Why? Even doctors, right? But I'm interested in the education aspect, okay? I see that there's so much fragmentation happening in school, including my own school background. That's why I left school at 17 years old, and I went out to find the teachers who would teach me the topics that are relevant to my daily life. For example, how do we deal with money? We were not taught that in school. Yeah?
Yeah.
How do we deal with sex? We were suppressed.
True, yeah.
Yeah. How do we deal with gardening, for example? It's only now, recently, that more schools are interested to help children to do some gardening, but it is fragmented. It's not coming from the one single pointed focus, which is I see yin, yang, and Tao principles, whether you talk about healing, gardening, leadership training, whether you talk about politics, whether you talk about love and sex, whether you talk about humor or diet, food, it comes from the same one single point, which is we want to find the energy, we want to find the balance, we want to find a creative solution. Every one of us is looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
So the rainbow bridge, the consciousness is coming into the world. And that is where we are working towards. We are training healers, we are training teachers to connect to that. And in our classes, I wish you can attend one of our class, then you can find out for yourself what is galactricity.
Do you have classes over here in Ireland?
Yeah. No, I have a workshop happening, and I have a teacher who is trained there, Monica, who is in Dundalk, County Low?
Dundalk, County Loud, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not too far from us, yeah.
Yeah, you should go to one of the class, you know.
Okay.
And in the class, you will feel a different kind of chi.
Okay, that'll be interesting. That might be to pop along as a guest reviewer.
She'll be happy. I can give you the details later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm giving a Ireland workshop, healing the wounded heart of the inner human family, and this is being held also at County Law at Boyne Valley Hotel.
Okay.
At the Dublin Road. Pronounce it. What the Drogheda?
Drogheda, yeah.
Drogheda. Sorry, my Irish.
Well, your Irish is better than our Chinese, anyway. That's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we have more questions for you that we're going to try and fit in before we let you go. So, Steve.
Yeah, just wondering if somebody were to decide after listening to what you're telling us this evening and checking out your website, if they decide that they want to learn Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. Is Tai Chi 7 days a week, or is it something where you can do it a couple of times a week and still have a couple of drinks on the weekend, or does alcohol and Tai Chi, or do the two mix?
Mm-hmm. Good question. I can share with you. First of all, let me be honest with you. All right, I'm 62 years old. Now, some people may not believe it, but I've never been to the hospital for any operations, for anything wrong with my body, okay? Secondly, I have so many of my students who still visit the pub, and they have such a great time. They're laughing and joking, and a whole group of them, like 7 or 8 of them. And the next table, usually there's always one person who look over and see, what is it that they're drinking? Okay?
Yeah.
And they see they're drinking water, juice. Why are they having such a great time even though they're not drinking alcohol? I'm not against alcohol. I see so many of my other students also drinking a bit of alcohol. I'm not against it. But the question is, what is it that you want to get out of alcohol? Is it to learn to let go and so that you can be more yourself? Is it for sociable reason? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And from my point of view, learning rainbow Tai Chi is different from learning Tai Chi.
Right.
Here's the reason why. Because rainbow Tai Chi includes in self-humor. Learning Tai Chi, from more than 40 years, I have seen so many different schools of Tai Chi. It's too serious for me.
Right.
I don't know. They look very, very serious.
Okay.
Seriously peaceful. But from my perception, peacefulness is only blue energy. I want to include in orange energy, where if you come to my class, you see that so many people. I just finished a weekend, today and yesterday, and on Friday also, Friday evening, Saturday night, last night, I celebrated my 62nd birthday. We had about 30 people there. We were laughing and having such a great time connecting to the energy. Now, I can do that, and I can say to you honestly that the orange energy of joy is always present in our classes. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I can't guarantee any other Tai Chi classes that you attend will have that.
Right,
because
so we'll have to go to yours, so.
Because the teachers, they're all very serious.
Yeah.
See, if you have a belly full of laugh, you know that this works, whatever you're doing.
Well, they do say laughter is the best medicine, and you did say there is an increase in comedians.
Excellent. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I believe that we are at the point of discovering what I call happyization. Just now I mentioned the word qualitum leap. Now I challenge the scientists to go and look any books up on this topic, qualitum leap, all right? And I guarantee you, in the whole internet, nobody talks about qualitum leap. They talk about quantum physics, quantum leap. Why? Why don't they talk about qualitum leap? What is qualitum leap?
I don't know.
We don't know. Well, listen, I'll tell you, I'm sure we go in depth into it, but we have 4 questions, and then we have to finish up after that. So we're going to quick fire the 4 questions over to you. If you could kind of give us a quick answer, that would be great.
Okay,
Steve.
quick answer. Yeah.
Okay, well, the first one here is, would couples, i.e. man and wife, husband and wife, would they benefit by taking Tai Chi classes together, i.e. in their personal and sex lives?
Well, for example, the 4th exercise that we teach connects to balancing the yin and yang between the two persons and how they can circulate the energy. You know, you can talk about microcosmic orbiting and sexual posture and all that, but the principles of harmonizing the yin, yang, and Tao in the Tai Chi movement is what we focus on.
Okay, next one.
Okay, so, because I was just wondering, would it be beneficial if one...
I really described how it will benefit.
Yeah, but I was wondering, would it be better for a couple to go together rather than just say...
Oh, I see. Well, first of all, you can do it for yourself to learn the 4th fundamental exercise.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and practice with your partner if your partner didn't come. Or, if both of you can come, it's even better.
Yeah, I don't think Steve has that problem. Okay, let's...
Right, okay. John is wondering, Master Choy, do you know anything about the 8 immortals of the Orient?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, Have you got the time?
Not really. Not really. Okay, so...
Right, okay, well, you know about it.
You know about them anyway.
That's
okay.
good.
Well, this, I'll say in one or two sentences, right?
Yeah.
Throughout my life, my father connected to these 8 immortals, and I didn't know anything about it because I was into more gut-centered action. And this year, we found in our school the presence of the 8 Taoist immortals. Now, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to experience it. Many of the students coming to our school here in Ashburton, Devon, have experienced it. And the hair standing, we call it the hair standing ceremony. You feel this electricity in the whole room, okay? And the presences of the energy beings are there to help you to heal.
Okay.
And it works. That's why it's so exciting. And I have shared something controversial with everybody, which is, ever since I was a child, I saw this old Chinese man with long beard, long hair, and each strand of his hair connected to constellations and stars. 60 years on later, I can say to you who this being is. His name is Lao Tzu, the founder of Taoist practices. He is my soul.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so we've 2 more. We have to wrap things up shortly, Steve.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get you on again and do a part 2 because there's so many questions and so little time. But another
I would love to practice some Tai Chi on the telephone with people next time.
We'd love it too. A serious question from John. John is wondering, is energy lost with the loss of...
Wait, slow down. Is that the same John as the 2 other questions?
It is, yeah. John he's a great man for questions. He's wondering, is energy lost with the loss of semen?
Ah, that's a very sexy question, John.
Yes, it is.
You see, the question is also about which woman is he with?
I think he's on his own.
I think that... Okay.
No, I'll tell you honestly, this weekend we spent so much time on talking about pornographic, how teenagers love pornographic films and talking about semen retention or ejaculating or... You see, the funny side of it is that there's no proper education about how do you channel this energy in your body, okay? For internalizing what we call in Chinese the Qing Qi. All right? That's why I said earlier to you that different kinds of Qi.
Yeah.
All right? So if you look up Qing Qi, there's like 1 million hits in the internet, okay? So I'm not talking about something strange. That sexual energy can be channeled for the health of your internal organs, and they specifically talk about 5 of those organs. We don't have time to go into it.
No, exactly. We're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's definitely there's definitely part 2 there to talk about that because I mean there's a lot of information and
you don't want to get people too sexually aroused on the radio, do you?
No, definitely not. That's what we don't want to do. Okay, Master Choy, we'd like to say a big thank you for coming on to the show and much appreciated. And Steve's going to get all your details to find out where people can get your website and stuff like that. Steve?
Yeah, Master Choy, it's been great, and I actually enjoyed the laugh towards the end. It's very good. You say laughter is very beneficial. I have your website here. It's rainbow-taichi.org.uk. I'm going to put that up on the chat room. Is there any other links you want to throw us out there, or are all the links on your website? Yeah.
And also, maybe you could put Monica McKean's details because she is near you. You can go and go to one of her class, and she has a landline number 042-937-2393, and she knows the details. I'm coming on the 14th and 15th of November to give this workshop in Ireland at how do you pronounce it again?
Drogheda.
Drogheda, yeah.
Okay.
County Louth.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, just stay with us there, Master,
Yeah.
Master Chen. And what we do is we just go to a musical break and we'll be back after this.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMradio.com, UnitedWeStrike.com and PeoplesInternetRadio.com.
And we're back, a little bit of foreigner there, and urgent, great information there from Master Choy. Even during the musical break there, we were having a little bit of a giggle with him as well. Generally nice guy, so we're going to try and pop along to one of his seminars.
That'd be very good, be very interesting. Now, part 2, our guest is a lady called Sage Guia. Now, Sage Guia has a retreat in the Dominican Republic where she's calling us at the moment, calling in from. And basically, Sage Guia has gone through an awful lot in her life. In her younger life, she went through a lot of health problems. And now it's a complete change around. And as you all know, it's all about changing your mindset, changing the health and the food that you eat and all that kind of stuff to make a change. And we're going to find out, because sometimes it's great hearing it from people who've actually been through it and what they did to change it, to change your health and change your mindset. And the way she's done it. And also, about the energies again, maybe about the energies hitting the planet, maybe Sage Guia might know about that as well. So we'll talk to her about that. But good evening, Sage Guia. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks a lot for coming on the show. Again, I just kind of said it very quickly there about your background, but do you want to give us a quick bio on your background and how you ended up in Dominican Republic, and then we'll get into the issues that you had with your health and how you addressed them.
Okay. My background as in medical intuitive, and you mean that aspect of it, or my background as in plagued with diseases?
well, obviously, you've got a lot of spiritual healing and background and obviously done a lot that side of things, but you obviously had to wake up to that. In something in your life had to trigger that to get you involved in that. So how did it kind of start?
Absolutely. I think I have to say, as a young child, my earliest memory was probably around 7 years old, of a consciousness about something more expansive than me and humans. And I used to always look up at the sky for that reason. And I always had some kind of inner knowingness, especially around what was wrong with people. And it started for me, I think, my mother was always ill, and I'd be outside playing, and I'd feel some issues going on with her, and I'd always go in and check on her and that kind of thing, and kind of knew that she was getting sick or sick before she actually knew. And so I always thought that was a little odd, but, of course, when you're that young, you don't pay attention to the specifics of that. And I was very healthy when I was a little child. I remember 6 years old, I didn't like to eat a lot. And so my mother took me to a conventional doctor, and then I was kind of force-fed. And one thing led to another. By the time I was 11 years old, I started out with skin allergies, severe.
Did you have vaccines?
Yes, for 1960s. I think I started school in 1960, and that's when they started out with the polio vaccine. And yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And anyway, the allergies. Ultimately, I think I was 12 years old. Then I started to have asthma attacks. And one thing led to another. And by the time I was 21 years old, I had, was plagued with a lot of diseases. And from crippling arthritis, bursitis. I mean, with the arthritis, it would take me about 2 hours to get out of the bed because it was so severe. Lupus. Ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, to the point where my face would literally crack and bleed. And of course, the conventional doctor, saw my face and said, "Oh, you're too attractive to look like this. Let me give you some steroids." So I used steroids on my face probably for about 15 years,
Okay.
10 to 15 years. And steroids in my body for asthma. I was, constantly given lots of drugs. and medications for all these different things. And also I ended up having hyperthyroidism, and as I mentioned, the ulcerative colitis, which, you know, conventional doctors say there is no cure. And that ended up leaving me in an emotional space of there's got to be some other way than living with diseases and constantly taking drugs. And so it started to awaken something inside of me, which I call my spirit.
Okay.
So would you like for me to continue?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
basically, obviously, this is your path. It was obviously the illnesses that you went through. It sounds like to me you're going through the medical book with all the illnesses that you had. And I do remember, I think you said you had lupus as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because the billionaire who owned the Phones for You empire, who sold it, he recently, him and his family were on some kind of trip, and they all got lupus. And they've been told that it's incurable, and it's affecting one or two of his members now severely, one of his members of his family. And he's on the drive now. Now he's a billionaire, and he's on the drive now to try and find a cure for lupus. So it's just curious that you had it, and what did you do to get rid of it?
Well, I'd like to mention as well, my older sister also had lupus, and they say, you know, lupus won't kill you, but the things that it does to the body ultimately can break the systems down. And one day she had a flu, and she was driving to pick up her daughter, and probably doing about 15 miles an hour, driving really slow at a mall, and she ended up running into a telephone pole, and the next day she was dead at, you know, 6 or so in the morning. I'm bringing this up because I also feel that diseases are very much connected to, it's not just a physical disease. It can also be very much connected to the spiritual ailments that I believe is plaguing the planet right now, because we've been so despiritualized. And my sister, when that happened to her, because I've always been intuitive, telepathic, psychic, whatever you want to, name you want to put on it, that morning I was on vacation, and I awakened from a sleep, and I was sobbing uncontrollably, just couldn't stop. And I felt like somebody was dying. And my husband was very concerned and said, well, you're not dying, though. I said, no, it's not me. Somebody's dying right now. And I got a phone call a few hours later, and of course my mother said my sister had passed away at that time. And in terms of the lupus and ulcerative colitis and hypothyroidism that doctors pretty much say are, ulcerative colitis and lupus isn't curable, these things became not an issue for me after I changed my lifestyle. And my lifestyle change included a high enzyme diet of fresh and raw foods, and a change in my thinking and consciousness about seeing myself as a body of disease, and not having any belief system, and the innate intelligence of my very physical nature that's connected to my spirit. And so when I started to shift in the way that I was seeing disease and changing the physical things that were creating a lot of toxins in my body and my mind and my environment, I started to notice a very quick shift in how I was feeling physically. And actually my husband and I, my current husband, and I started studying life science nutrition at the time. And, we went on this 30-day quest of, well, let's see if all this stuff that we are feeling and thinking about can really work, because most people 6 years ago really weren't so much into a healthy lifestyle. They were traditionally convinced about conventional medicine, and that was the hope. And I have to say that as a young person, I've always had an interest in medical issues. I wanted to be a medical doctor, and instead I became a nurse. So I had a lot of my belief systems in what they taught and thought that they had the answers. And so that's why I became so stuck for such a time in the state of disease, because I felt like I had no power to heal myself. I felt like I was not responsible for my health. And when I shifted those things of thinking I have to be responsible because I'm getting sicker and sicker, and I'm getting more and more medication in my body every day, that's causing another problem.
Yeah.
So how it changed for me was changing everything that I believed in that was not supportive of me as a powerful spirit and human being.
Yeah, it's a major change. I'll stand corrected there, thanks to Agent on the chat room there. He was actually saying that it was Lyme disease and not lupus, but the thing being that it's amazing when somebody who's a billionaire like that has enough money to put the research into researching it, when, to be honest with you, somebody could probably go up with Lyme disease, and there's so many, you could use probably nanosilver, colloidal silver, probably cannabis oil, so many diet, enzymes, so many ways you could naturally heal a disease because it's dis-ease, as we all know. Now, this journey that you went on, I mean, it's a major shake-up when that happens. To wake up and to change everything, because there's a lot of people out there that want to make a change to their life. They know that what they're eating, the food they're eating, is not the best. A lot of it is processed. Unfortunately, when you don't have the money, there's nothing you can do. You have to, you can only buy what you can afford. So how were you in a position financially that you could do that, or did you have to kind of work around your finances?
Well, I had to work around my finances and my life. At the time, I was a young mother of 3 small children, my youngest being 9 months old, and my ex-husband back then, which, relationships have a lot to do with dis-ease as well, as I'm sure you all know.
Yeah.
And it was a very negative relationship. At the time, he was, cheating, having an affair, and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
And but I didn't know it, like I couldn't prove it.
Okay.
But intuitively.
Well, if you know it, I know you didn't prove it, but if you know it in yourself intuitively, then chances are he was.
Yes, absolutely. Well, at the end, I did find out, it was proven that was the case. So when you ask the question financially, no, it was probably the most difficult time in my life, because I was left with 3 small children, $5 and 8 Pampers, or $8 and or $3 and 5 Pampers. I forget at this point, but it was very, very little, and to start all over. So, and at that point, as I started to shift the way I was thinking, first of all, about life and what I wanted to subject myself to, I think that was my first change of thought, that this environment is too negative of an environment to sustain myself. And I think when you go through a healing crisis that brings you to your knees, literally, where you're crawling out of the bed at 21 years old, most young people are out, drinking and all kinds of craziness that you think you can get away with when you're very young. I was living the body of a very old person and very, very sick. So it started for me with the thought forms changing about how I wanted to live my life. That I wanted to keep having these negative experiences. And the first change for me was getting out of the negative relationship. And that started to open up just a whole new channel of self-empowerment, knowing that even if I had 3 small young children and a young woman, people were saying to me, what are you going to do? Who's going to want to be with you with 3 young children? Like, my life was just painted as very bleak.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to go along with that quiet, still voice in me that was becoming louder and louder about being into my own power, things started to show up for me. And one thing that showed up very quickly is my current partner. And you know, we didn't have a lot of money together, but we just started to change things in terms of food. Back then, you know, 30-some years ago, a lot of the foods were less contaminated than they are now. You know, so we just bought some basic, you know, fruits and vegetables and those kinds of things that had life in them. And I had developed the consciousness of life begets life. If I wanted more life in my cells, in my body, in my consciousness, I had to start being with the things that created more life. It just made sense to me. It was a very simple concept that I had intuited, or the beings had given me as a way of living, that I ended up gravitating towards things that brought out more life. So the short answer to your question is, no, it wasn't a very expensive process. You can live very simply. I think people have complicated it now because the world has become so manipulated by, I'd say money, you know, money, greed, and because of those things, that people now think that you can't get good live foods unless you spend a fortune, and you have to spend a fortune on supplements and this and that and the other. And when you start to create around your whole life, not just bits and pieces of parts of your life, you find out that life is a little more simple than people are sharing with you. Well, but I think today, lots of people think, well, you need this supplement, that supplement. And when you talked about the billionaire who had Lyme's and his whole family, I've dealt with people with Lyme's disease. And it's an autoimmune issue as well.
Yeah.
I always wondered intuitively why all of a sudden in the last, 10, 15 years, now I don't even know if it's that long, but at least 10 years, that we've got Lyme's disease. Before that it was fibromyalgia, and it was chronic fatigue syndrome. I think the names keep shifting to, to benefit the pharmaceutical companies in terms of what drugs to use on people.
Big time. Well, we're seeing an increase. Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, there's an increase in cancers, and the amount of women I know. No, I haven't heard any men actually. Funny enough, I know there's men out there, but mainly just 3 women I know who suffer from fibromyalgia, and who have come across and spoken to about it, and they're curled up in pain. They're in severe pain with it. Now, we also had a guest on there a while ago called Joanne Kramer, and Joanne has attuned her body to eating live food. And she said there recently on a post on Facebook that she actually went out one night and she actually ate the wrong food, and she said it was so appetizing. I think she was in the family circle and she sat down and he had a meal, and she didn't eat live food. She ate processed food, but it looked very, very tempting. And she said the day after she was suffering because her body was so in tune with the live food. She said that her body just couldn't handle the processed food.
Yes, I can understand that. When we started our process, 35 years or so ago, I came from a background of a lot of processed food and a lot of toxic food. And just in 30 days, I went from taking 13 different medications, not including the allergy pills, six or so allergy pills a day just to be able to breathe. In 30 days, I went to feeling the best I had ever felt in my life. I could finally feel myself. I could feel the life in me. And back then, I was a raw foodist for about 7 years, but now I have a high enzyme diet of probably 75 to 80% raw, and so it does make a difference. Anything that gives life to the systems, and I say systems because not just our physical body, but, you know, our etheric body, our spiritual body.
So are you a vegetarian or a vegan?
I'm a vegetarian.
Okay, Steve. Steve is a vegetarian. Funny enough, you have a question for Sage.
I do have a question. Yeah, it's nothing to do with vegetarian, I'm afraid. It's just on your website. You mentioned, well, it's just funny. We were actually talking earlier to our previous guest about Chi, and you just mentioned universal Chi on the website. But you also talk about the DNA dot connector, and I was just wondering, could you just enlighten us on what exactly you mean by the DNA dot connector?
Okay. Over the years, I've noticed, like I said to you, I always had this uncanny ability to know what was wrong with people. You know, most people spend most of their lives, you know, thinking something good about people, even when it's not. And over the years, through my guidance system, you know, the beings that work with me, and all through my intuitive findings, I was given some information, channeled information about the DNA and how it can be affecting our spiritual system as well. And so when I say DNA dot connector, I call myself DNA dot connector because, you know, most scientists and you know, the average person understands the basic principles of DNA, how we can end up with the genes of our parents and so forth and so on a physical level. But what I've gathered through my inner teachings is that everybody comes onto the planet with a DNA system and ultimately have some DNA dysfunction. That's how we're able to live on the planet. But we have focused so much so on that DNA dysfunction and that we have lost our spirit and our inner power of beingness. And so just as we come with the DNA dysfunction, what I've been given as information is that that DNA dysfunction actually leads us to our gift of purpose. And because we've been so blindsided by society and the systems of toxic beliefs and so forth and so on, most humans don't get to that. They stay entrapped in the DNA dysfunction, whether it's an organ dysfunction of ailments, like I had all these ailments, which I, you know now, they were a lot of autoimmune issues because I was going against my very self, you know, the inner power of myself. And so what I do with clients is when I have a session, I can get to the root cause in one session of what's actually going on with them through their DNA dysfunction. And a lot of times, I say all of the time, an ancestor comes through of the person I'm dealing with that might have had some physical symptoms and ailments that the person that I'm dealing with had on the planet. And they share with me, the ancestors of the client, share with me what their issues were and what they've learned on the other side to help support the client's DNA dis-ease. Because by the time somebody gets to me, they're embracing the dysfunction, whether it's I need to be more capable, I'm dysfunctional in this way, I'm dysfunctional in that way. And this beautiful gift that they've given me to help humanity see the gift in it is the patterns that they've developed can be used to channel the real gift that it's pointing to. And for example, myself, I was plagued with dis-ease. And instead of staying focused on all of these diseases for the rest of my life until the doctors said that they thought I would die at the age of 40 of colon cancer, you know, instead of holding on to that belief system of that, I started to look at what the disease was pointing me to, the direction. And the direction was a healing healer. And that gift has allowed me to support not only myself, my family, friends, and other people on the planet to a point that if I have the power to heal myself, so do you. This isn't something that is so far-fetched that nobody can reach that. And I did this naturally. I did not do this with any prescription drugs. I didn't do this by going to the doctor to help me get out of that, because when I was connected to conventional medicine, I was getting sicker and sicker. So when you ask me about DNA dot connector, it's a matter of intuitively and spiritually pointing the person into a knowingness about what they already know this.
Yeah.
We all know what we're doing to not support ourselves. That seems to be the TV view. But what most people don't know is why that's happening. Why are we so fixated on this dysfunction? And I'm sure you both, talk to people about this interdimensional influences and negative beings that have filled our heads with lies through the thought forms, that it's gotten to the point that most of humanity believe that they are diseased humans, and they don't have any power, and they don't believe in the innate intelligence of themselves. They don't believe that Mother Earth is a living, breathing microorganism that is one of the greatest physicians on the planet and is able to support and sustain us on many levels. So I hope that did that answer your question.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. I suppose I've learned actually lots from it. But yeah, no, there's a lot of great information on your website. I have put the link up in the chat room there. I urge people to go and check it out if they want to find out more information. But you did say that when you're dealing with a client, you can pick up on things. And I just wonder, do people, if they wanted to avail of your services, do they have to be in the same room as you, or is this something that you can do via, say, Skype or telephone?
No, they don't have to be in the same room. And yes, I do it on Skype. I do Skype sessions or on the telephone, and also in private retreat settings. So anyway, energy is energy. And when you learn to read energy, you're able to decipher what the energy means. And we're in an electromagnetic energy field. So the answer to your question is yes, anywhere.
Do you agree, Sage, that disease actually is in your aura first before it actually comes into your physical body?
Absolutely. And I say that because a lot of times I have picked up on disease patterns in the etheric body before the person had any feelings or symptoms around it. And I had one particular case, it was probably about 12 years ago or so. A woman came to me and I saw irregular cells in her cervix. And I suggested that she get a pap smear to for her to confirm what I was seeing. And she said to me, I just had a pap smear 3 or 4 days ago, and it was perfectly normal. They saw no problem. And I said to her, listen, it's one of those things where I see it's just on the edge coming into the physical body. So if you don't believe me, this is what I'm going to suggest that you do to support yourself so that you don't keep creating more irregular cells. And I will also suggest that you go and have another test in, a few months. Because I think by then, if you're continuing to do what you're doing, it will show up in your physical body. Well, I think she walked out thinking, okay, whatever. But I got a phone call from this woman probably 3 to 4 years later in the hospital. And she had cervical cancer. And she didn't believe me then, but she believed me at that point.
Yeah.
That there must be something to more than the physical body. And I also had another case that I remember very, very well because it was a medical doctor's wife who drove down several states to see me because she was not finding any answers in conventional medicine or any place else. And some of the things I told her, she just kept saying no, 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 no. And I knew at that point, a lot of it was right there on the edge, the etheric body.
Okay.
And about 3 or 4 days later, she called me on the phone and she said, "What did you do to me? I'm having these symptoms now." So, yes, I absolutely.
Okay,
we're an
'cause-
energy field.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've talked about before on a spiritual level is something called the spiritual Hoover. And it's an exercise to actually clear your aura, your auric field, of any disease, any negative energy, before it actually appears in the physical. Have you heard of that method?
I haven't heard. Yes, I've heard of the method. I don't recall the name of it, but I really believe that anything that we can do to support a buildup, I call toxic waste on all levels, not just physical, not just contaminants in the water or the food or the air, but also in our spiritual body.
Yeah.
And our mental body and our emotional body. And I also believe that there are practical ways. That's the beautiful gift that's been shared with me through the higher intelligence. A practice, a very simple practice of taking care of this temple that we call the body that's been given to us, so that we don't have to suffer so much.
Yeah. I know it's a kind of cliche, and they say your body is your temple, but your body is your temple.
Absolutely.
Really, I mean, if you think about it. Steve, you have something there, a comment or a question?
I just wondered, what if someone said to you, okay, you're vegetarian, and you know we're designed to eat meat. A lot of people would say, if you had to give them, say, a top 3 reasons why the vegetarian diet is better than a carnivorous diet, what would you say?
The first reason, the first thing I would say is, you can't beat Mother Nature. That there's life in vegetables. There's life in fruit, and especially fresh and raw. And in whole foods, there's more nutrients and all, and it's easier to digest through the system. It's it has less toxins. It takes less time for the digestive system to process. And that's one of the places that humans get hit the most, is in the core, the gut. And I've been told that when we come on the planet, we end up getting shattered emotionally. And it's through that system, and now scientists believe that there's a brain there in the stomach. And that's where we have a lot of emotional and intuitive information that comes through. So it would make sense that we would be attacked at that front level.
Well,
so
it's funny you should say that, Sage, because our last guest, Master Choy, he was a master in Tai Chi and on energy, said the same thing as you, that the stomach was the brain. It wasn't it wasn't, that was the focal point.
Well, I didn't listen to your show, so.
Yeah, no, it's just it's good that, you're kind of confirming what he's saying, and, he's confirming what you're saying.
Well, I have to say, on a intellectual level, or as a human studying things, when I went through my process of healing, I was literally told not to read anything, not to study under anybody, that I would have an inner teacher to share this information with me. And when I came out of it, and I was told not to read anything for 3 years, and when I came out of that process, I was given information I had no way of knowing. And that impressed me as a thinking person. And then as time went on, lots of these things were confirmed. Things that I've gotten 20-some years ago are coming to fruition now. And even though you don't understand, or it may not make sense, but if you are open to the consciousness of universal chi and the Father Sky, the Great Spirit, combined with Mother Earth, you are veiling your spirit to connect to the highest intelligence in the universe, And I believe that you will always find answers. That's how I was able to find answers about my health.
Okay, so
about my whole life.
what would you say to people who would say that sounds like, if they said, oh, that sounds like a bit like New Age mumbo jumbo?
I would probably say the same thing I said to a medical doctor that was assisting me back then when, at the end, when he found massive cyst in my breast. He said to me, I said, I just started this process and I want to continue on it because I've seen some great things happening. I'm not plagued like I was. And he said to me, that's a bunch of boogie woogie. And 20 years later or so, he became a boogie woogie alternative doctor. And so I'm just the kind of person, I don't sit around and wait for scientific proof. If you want to wait for somebody to prove to you what's real and what isn't real, I think that you're going to spend a lot of time in suffering and a lot of time in not knowing. And automatically, once you receive a knowingness of sorts, things just start to happen. Things show up to validate, to confirm, whether it's you're feeling better or somebody says something to you that validates that. Like you just said, Master Choy said what I'm saying just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I call it the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
When it starts to validate in your life, you as a person start to believe.
Yeah, I think people have to go and try it. I think it's very easy to sit back and just challenge something or question something, and it's very easy to do that and be judgmental. Instead of, people should go and do it and try it and see what works for them. You have to follow your own path and follow the flow of energy. And by doing that, I'm pretty sure that we all have a path. I mean, something that we'll probably talk about later. I might talk about after the break because it's something I've mentioned before in the show. Don't have time to talk about it now, but I do think that people need to go and do it. Not just talk about it and not just criticize it or be judgmental, but go and try it and change your diet. Look at what you're eating and just change your whole kind of look at how you are and ask yourself, are you happy with the way you are? And can I change it? And what can I change, even in a small bit? Take baby steps to make that change.
Absolutely. I always tell people we all have a journey within us that we must decide to take. And we all have a path to clear. And if we want to continue to stay in the mind with the illusions of things, we're not going to take responsibility for self. And for me, the access point is true self. And that's an inner journey. And if we want to continue to rely on people and processes and systems that have proven to fail and proven to create more suffering, then that's a personal decision. But in my consciousness, when I see that something isn't working for me and I'm suffering more, the logical thing for me is to think, what else is there? Is there something different than what I'm doing and being with?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think people need to, seriously, if they're not happy in the position they're in, if they can, because a lot of people are in a position where they, for whatever reason, can't do anything on a major level, but maybe on a small level, they can take baby steps and change certain things, which might actually escalate to help you change the bigger thing.
Absolutely. In fact, I suggest some basic small things for people who want to get out of that entrapment. And some of those things are, may I share them with you?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Drink pure water, as pure as you can get. I think at this point in history, most people understand that there's a lot of chemicals in bottled water. If you can get spring water of some sort that's not so contaminated, or some system where you can have pure water, drink pure water. We're high water content, okay? It detoxifies us. It purifies us.
Yeah.
Eat more of a high enzyme plant-based diet with whole foods. When you asked about the meat versus vegetarian, it takes a lot of hours and days to break down meat versus vegetables. And, we feed our dog raw meat, and I had taken it out and forgotten about it, and I thought, it was 2 days went by, and I thought, oh my God, what is that awful smell? Well, just from that meat sitting there for 2 days, it just stank up the entire outside of my house. That, because of how toxic meat can be in the breaking down processes. And we're not dogs. Dogs have a stronger digestive system.
Yeah.
Also, start learning to listen to your intuitive voice, that inner voice that tells you things, that gut feeling. Pay attention to it. But before you can even learn that language, that intuitive language, you have to start feeling. So I suggest to people, start feeling your emotions. Stop drugging yourselves up with antidepressants and, drugs that just wipe out your feelings. Start being more present to what you really feel and less to what you think. And also, if you don't understand the process, start working with people to help you understand why you have these destructive DNA patterns, what they really are pointing you to. And pay homage to the native Indians and primitives that were our original ancestors on the planet, because they knew how to live. They had the ways that really supported humanity. And the last thing I say to people that's really simple, open up your hearts and your minds so that you can be available to your inner truth. And that's real simple. That's a very simple thing, and one of the things that helps support that is stop loading up your physical body with toxins.
Yeah, totally agree with that one. And it's something that we promote here as much as we can, and obviously the way people, depending on their financial situation, but we do talk about moving away from fluoridated water, aspartame, MSG, and all that kind of stuff. But Sage, we've got to the end of the interview. Unfortunately, we have a few things to do at the end before we pass over to the next radio station. So a big thank you for coming on the show. We're going to pass you over to Steve. Steve's going to get all your details, where people can find you and communicate with you. And obviously, I know you have a retreat down there in the Dominican Republic, and it looks very nice. If we had the funding or the money, it'd be nice to go down there for a holiday, Steve. I think
we'd be there in the morning.
We'll be on the first flight. Well, maybe the universe might do something. You never know. But thanks a lot for coming on the show. It's much appreciated. I'll pass you over to Steve there.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sage, great information. As I said, your website is there. It's drnaturalliving.com. I have posted that up on the chat rooms there. And again, it's full of information. There's great information on the website. You've a lot of videos there as well, I noticed. I didn't click on any of the videos while we were live because obviously it would have interfered with things. But I will check them out when I'm at base at home later on. So, I mean, there's plenty of information on the website, and you have your email address there as well, also on the site where people can contact you. Is there any other links that you want to throw out there, or anything else you want to say to the listeners?
Yes, a very simple one-pager that we put up is powerlivingretreat.com. That has a very basic overview of, about the retreat and the different types and so forth and so on. And we're on all the social media networks. And I want to just make a special mention to my Facebook page, which is the Sage Guia at Spiritual and Medical Intuitive Q&A Forum. And that forum's available to people who may have a question about any medical conditions, any ailments or spiritual, whether they're spiritual or physical. And I'll be happy to send them a channeled message on that site.
Excellent, great stuff. A good offer there. Can you just give us that the address again there, Sage, the Power Living Retreat, because I'm not sure if I have it correct, but I did type it into the search engine here, and I'm getting that it's temporarily unavailable. Now, I have powerlivingretreat.com as one word. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. www.powerlivingretreat.com. And if you just look up Sage Guia, I don't know what's happening now, but it was up earlier.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, Sage, stay with us there. We're going to go over to a musical break, and we will be back after this. So just hang on in there.
This is Open Your Mind Radio on OYMradio.com, UnitedWeStrike.com, and PeoplesInternetRadio.com.
And we're back. We're healing the world there, Michael Jackson. And, yes, heal the world. Sage has agreed to send us over a link. She mentioned a link there at the end of the interview that she's going to just pop in the Skype box there. So I will post that up on the chat room if she sends it in before we switch over this evening.
Brilliant. We're trying to heal the world and wake up the world one show at a time, I think. That's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do.
There's a song in there somewhere.
There's a song in there somewhere. Now, one of the things that Master Choy and Sage Guia talked about was the path, your path in life. And we all have to find our path. And I've said this before on the show, but a very long time ago, years and years ago, in the early days of computers, I was big into playing computer games. And one of the things I noticed was that when you went down an alley and nobody was shooting at you, that was the computer programmer's way of telling you that that was the wrong way to go. Because when you go down a different alley and the doors opened and you got shot at, that's the path you have to go on. And time again, you hear people saying, no matter what I try, it never works out. Well, the reason why it doesn't work out is because that's the wrong path you're on. You have a path in life. Everybody has a path in life. The hard part is finding it, finding that path. And you have to follow your happiness and chase your happiness and find what works for you. And negativity, just the first thing you need to do is get negativity out of your life. Surround yourself with positive people, or people that will help you and are positive and not pulling on your energy. That's the first and foremost thing. That doesn't cost any money. Just a bit of common sense and waking up to realise that if there's people around you that are dragging at you and dragging the energy from you and are doing you no good, well then you have to let them go. It's that simple. Because they're not doing you any good, and you have to take care of yourself. And then you can work on finding your path. Do what makes you happy. Do the things you enjoy. Now, I know there's all the mundane tasks that you have to do. Unfortunately, washing, ironing, cleaning, and shopping and all that stuff has to be done.
Speak for yourself.
Because, yeah, speak for yourself. See, there you go, being a house husband. But these things have to be done. But generally speaking, you know, and I've said before on the show also, look at the 6 people closest to you in your life. And ask yourself, them 6 people closest to you, do they help or embellish your life in a positive way, or do they affect your life and pull on your energy and have a negative effect on you? Well then, you know, if there's 4 of them people that benefit you and 2 of the people don't, well guess what? You're going to have to get them 2 out of your life, or else keep a distance, because they're not helping you. Because positive people in your life, positivity feeds positivity, and positive people in your life won't pull on your energy. And, you know, one feeds off the other, and it's all positive. And this is not New Age mumbo-jumbo or New Age talking. This is actual science and energy and how energy works. And the more you understand how energy works, the more you'll get sensitive to it and realise, you know, what's going on. Now, I think when we were away for the weekend, Steve, didn't we do a little...
Hello?
When we were away for the weekend, remember we had a little retreat on the weekend with somebody on the chat room?
Yes.
Not mention any names. We did a little experiment about feeling your actual aura.
I don't know. I
Remember
don't
that?
like where this is going.
No.
Yeah. Well, you felt your aura, and then you had me feeling your aura.
Was this after 6 beers or 2 beers?
You seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, there you go. I think it was after 6 beers that we were feeling our aura, because 2 beers was just too early in the night. But
okay. Seriously.
But there's a way that you can actually do it. And you can actually feel the energy around you. I mean, you know, again, a little bit of practice, but you can feel it. And we all have that ability. We can all tune in. You know, we've all been there where we think of somebody and the phone would go off, or you'd be in the car and all of a sudden you'd pull up the window and the person beside you would say, I was just about to ask you to do that. All these little things all are intuitive, are 6th sense that we use. So we have it there. The ability is there. We just need to develop it and get tuned into it. Now, the whole kind of living food thing, I'm kind of a carnivore and Steve's a vegetarian. But, you know, the one thing I have been doing over the last 2 weeks, and I'm kind of doing a little bit of experiment, is I'm trying to keep away from biscuits. I do like a biscuit and a cup of tea, But
those meaty biscuits.
yeah,
they're dog treats.
Oh no, it looks like a burger. But then the biscuits, definitely. For the last 2 weeks now, I've been completely off the biscuits, and
I have to say, you're looking so slim.
I know, yeah, I've lost about 20 stone. But I'll have to read that new book. You know, you're not fat, you're ugly. I'll have to read that during the week and see what it says. But actually, it's a good title. You're not fat, you're toxic. Well, I mean, we'll have to read it. It's quite thick. But again, thanks to Stephanie for sending that over. We'll have a good read of that anyway. But so there you go. So that's the news. Now, next week, our guests are Aidan Killian. Aidan Killian is a Irish comedian. Aidan has been on the show a few times. And he's just released a book called Dear Plonker. And apparently it's very funny. Now, we haven't read it. We'll have to get our hands on it and have a read of it. But Aidan went through all the processes and woke up to the banking system. I mean, he worked in the banking system and he had property and the banks were chasing him. And he turned around. Instead of getting angry at the people on the phone, the people would ring up and say, Aidan, we need to get, your details and your date of birth. And then Aidan would turn around and say, well, before I give you that, I have terms and conditions, and I have a few questions for you. And basically, she'd say, yes, what's that? He said, well, can you tell me what kind of underwear you're wearing? And the phone would go down. This is the games he started playing with them. So we're going to have Aidan on next week, and Aidan's going to be talking to us about that. The second guest on, believe it or not, is a friend of mine. And Rini, that I've known when I lived in London since 2001. And we all have somebody in our life that's kind of give us a nudge or information or a book that has educated or has opened our mind. And I want to introduce Rini to yourself to the listeners, because Rini in 2001 was the person who, I had all the bits, the jigsaw, but I just couldn't put it together. And Rini was the person who came to me and kind of put me on the right path. So I thought it'd be nice if Rini came on the show, and she is now teaching and educating and life training skills and all that kind of stuff as well. So it'd be good to have her on to find out how she's getting on, and just talk about the old days and say what really happened then. But that's it really. That's what's happening next week for our guests. And as I say, we have so many guests now on the guest list. So which is brilliant. So thanks for the people sending in emails saying we recommend this person and that person. We do try and get them on, and some people just don't email us back. They don't bother. I don't know why. But we do try when we get emails in telling us about certain people. So we do try to get them on. But we have still a good few guests coming on, booked up and stuff like that. So loads of things going on. So, but that's it for me, Steve. I don't know if you have anything else to fill in, but I'll say for myself, Alan James, take it easy, have a safe week, and if there's any news, let us know. Thanks again for your links, and that's it really.
Yeah, no, I've nothing to add to that. Again, what am I going to be doing during the week? Probably the same as I do every week, working my off. And if any links come in, what generally tends to happen is the links come in through email or through the it's an email and Facebook. I couldn't think of it. And Alan would generally forward on to me anything that's kind of important. As has been mentioned before, Alan kind of sorts out the wheat from the chaff. He generally takes up a lot of his time, so I don't have to. He generally kind of goes through all the links of stuff that's kind of important and maybe of interest, and he'd forward that over to me, and then I'll check it out. Where sometimes we do get a lot of links come in, say through the likes of Facebook and email as well, which some was quite interesting, and some was it's kind of just another take on stuff that we've already covered before. So rather than having to do all this research again, he does kind of sort that out for me. It's like having your own personal what would you call it? Secretary.
Secretary. Oh, yeah. Okay.
You kind of are in a way, because you say you have a lot more time to do the research than I do. So yeah, I'll probably just catch up on some links. There are a few that were there during the week that I didn't actually get to look at yet because of family commitments and Halloween and stuff like that. So I will get to that. Anyway, look, it's coming up to 9 o'clock, so if you're listening to us on Airstream, we're going to say goodnight. We're handing over to Vin on People's Internet Radio and all the good people over there. So if you want to stay tuned on the PIR, chat room, or on the PIR stream, sorry I should say, you will hear Vin, and it's always great. So I'm going to drop it here, and we'll do it all again in 7 days. Until then, take care. From myself, Stephen George, bye-bye.
Open your mind.